Everybody, it's Dr. Goldner. We'll be starting in just a moment here. Please hang in there while I get my streams going. Oh, hey, Smoothie Show worked today. Yes. And Instagram. All right. Sweet. This is all good. Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Brooke Goldner, and I'm here from Goodbye Lupus, and I'm on my weekly public service. I come on as much as I can to help you with your health, mental and physical, live a better life. I can't substitute for medical advice, so talk to your doctor before you make major changes to your diet especially, but I'm here to help every way I can. Let me just get this going here where I can just want to get all of these things open so I can follow everybody's questions. We live stream over YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, in my Facebook community, Smoothie Shred, which I got it working today for you guys, huh? All right. So what I wanted to talk to you all today about is actually Mental Health Awareness Month. So even though it is Lupus Awareness Month, I've been wearing purple all month, so I'm here for Lupus Awareness Month. I've done a lot of news hits. We actually have a news hit from yesterday that I'll be sharing with you as soon as we get it ready for you. But it's also Mental Health Awareness Month, and I wanted to bring some attention to this for many reasons. One of which is it directly impacts things like lupus and autoimmune disease, but it's important on its own. And Mental Awareness Month was founded in the 1940s by Mental Health America, and I'm bringing your attention to this because Mental Health America was actually the nonprofit that I used to work for back before I went off to work on my disease reversal path. So it's an absolutely wonderful organization. It's a nonprofit that really tries to help people with mental health challenges be a part of normal society, because they are. And so I was actually the medical director for their transition age youth program, which is for 18 to 25-year-olds who are coming out of foster care and juvenile justice and homelessness. And I absolutely loved working for them. Mental Health America is very unique. I'll tell you some things about it that makes it super cool. Besides the fact that it's not for profit, they take the most difficult patients that most people don't want to see or can't support. They have walk-in centers, so people used to come in and see them when they could come. But they also really created an environment where there was no separation between those of us who were the helpers and practitioners and the patients. They didn't even call them patients, they called them members. And at Transition Age Youth, we called them students. So they would feel more like they were a student or going to school rather than a patient. And the way they would do that was, one, we were all in the same room together. Two, even the room where we would eat was for everyone. So staff would eat side by side with other members or students when they wanted to eat their food. Bathrooms were the same. We shared the same bathrooms. All the spaces were shared because we are people on the same level. There's no difference between a doctor or a social worker or someone who was coming there for their mental health issue. We're all part of the same community, and we're there to help each other. And it was really beautiful. The other thing that really you can tell why it was a fit for me was they believe that storytelling is a really important part of recovery and connecting with people, that patients or people who are struggling with mental health or other issues, that they can connect more to stories than to just, here, do this, take this, follow these rules. And they believe that sharing of yourself was an important part of connecting. So one of the things that they really found important at Mental Health America, and what I used to teach, so for Mental Health America, I used to also teach graduate students at the local college, and other practitioners would come in from around the world. We had people come once a year from Japan to learn from us, other places to learn about the way we help people with mental health. Was we taught that relationships are healing. So as a psychiatrist originally, I was taught that who you are should be shielded from the person that you're treated, so from your patient. So therefore, whether or not I'm married, whether or not I have children, anything about myself, my life, that's gone. And I'm a wall, and you can talk to me about your stuff, and then I will help you. And what Mental Health America believes, and what I believe fully too, is there's very limited progress you can make. That I found that as I opened up myself to others and shared my pain and my stories, they were more likely to then open up and share their pain and their stories with me, because we're two humans in a room who have been dealing with life. And I might have some answers you don't, because I have solved some of the problems that you might come with. But opening up and sharing of yourself is such an important part of truly helping people heal. And so relationships are essential. And so that really changed everything about the way I do things, right? Opening up about having lupus was a really difficult thing for me. That took me a long time to do. It might seem normal for you because you know me talking about this, but it was something that I kept hidden from others, even friends, professional people, because I didn't want to be judged for it. Well, people with mental health issues feel the same way, and we need to be able to open up and share. So I wanted to show you, Mental Health America has some great, I'm doing a free plug for you guys. So they have some great resources, and I wanted to share that. So for Mental Health Awareness Month, let's see if I can find, here we go, this screen. MHA, Mental Health America, they're fantastic. They're based out of California. That they're just a beautiful place. I really loved being with them. It was hard to leave, but I felt called to help people with autoimmune diseases. But if not, I would happily still be there. So they actually have, if you go to Mental Health America, MHAnational.org, they've got some resources. Some of them are just great facts if you want to share for Mental Health Awareness Month. Things like 1 in 5 American adults have a mental health condition that can be diagnosed. 46% of Americans will meet the criteria for a mental health condition. This says right here, 23% of US adults have mental illness, a very high percentage, more than any other health issue that I'm teaching about, right? 42.5 million US adults estimated to have anxiety. And mental health issues lead to higher rates of substance abuse, right? So we see that as well. Bipolar disorder, you can see 3.3 million people have that. Depression, 22.5 million people with major depression. So youth, significant levels of depression. And so there's some really great resources here that I think could be helpful if you want to make a post and share about mental health awareness. And I'm really proud that Mental Health Awareness Month was started by Mental Health America, which is just such a really, really wonderful organization. So a lot of love to them still to this day for what they do and for making a difference in how mental health is looked at. Mental health, like specifically, let's talk about depression. Depression, according to the World Health Organization, right now, depression is the leading cause of health issues that people have and disability worldwide. So when you look at it that way, just depression alone is creating more health issues and disability worldwide than anything else. So it's really important that we pay attention to mental health for this reason. I'm looking at the statistics from the site, from the WHO. It says more than 300 million people across the world are living with depression right now. And it's increased 18% since 2005 to 2015, so over the past 10 years. So it is really important to bring attention to this. We need more investment in this, and we need more attention, and we need to destigmatize it. Because if a quarter of the population is dealing with some kind of mental health issue, perhaps it's time for us not to consider that to be something abnormal, but actually something pretty common and not something to be ashamed of in any way. So they've shown that, of course, depression in of itself will create higher risks just because of depression. Depression creates lack of motivation. It creates hopelessness and despair. It makes people isolate from the world. It can make people want to die. And so that in and of itself will drastically reduce someone's ability to have any kind of quality of life. But mental health issues like depression, anxiety, trauma also dramatically raise your risk of things like autoimmune diseases. So studies have shown that there's an increased rate of diabetes, cancer, as well as lupus, other types of arthritis and autoimmune conditions, Crohn's disease, very strong link to trauma and anxiety, that our moods are directly connected to our overall health. This head we've got is directly connected to our body by the neck that we wear. Maybe your neck's not as long as my neck, but your neck still connects your head to your shoulders. It's transmitting information. right? And so what we think, what we feel is directly impacting our bodies. And now we're finding there's so many different ways that that is happening. Number one, we have receptors for mood chemicals like serotonin and dopamine and norepinephrine, all these different mood chemicals that we originally just thought of as brain chemicals. We have more receptors for some of them in our guts than we do in our brain, which then makes sense why people who have high anxiety often develop issues like irritable bowel or even inflammatory bowel diseases. We also know that depression and anxiety and trauma and grieving are all inflammatory states, meaning they can measure inflammation in the body being caused by the mood issues that are going on. So much so that in one study that I read, the scientists who did the study proposed that they should give corticosteroids like prednisone to people who are depressed, because maybe that if we treat the inflammation, maybe the depression will get better. Not really the path I think we should go. But one of the things we're not sure of is, well, is inflammation creating depression and inflammation is also creating autoimmune disease? Or is depression creating inflammation, which is then leading to more autoimmune diseases? So chicken or the egg, but we know that those are all connected. And you're probably aware, if you have autoimmune disease, that how much stress you have is directly linked to your symptoms, right? So they've shown stress alone will increase flares of inflammatory bowel diseases, rheumatoid arthritis, MS, lupus, all the other autoimmune diseases. In fact, a lot of people first get sick right after a major stressor in their life. Grieving, when you are mourning the loss of someone that you love, that creates such an enormous spike in inflammation. The person looks on paper often to have autoimmune disease. With this one study that I looked at, it was pretty remarkable. And then I think about how many people have I seen who have terrible autoimmune diseases, who began their symptoms after the loss of somebody that they loved, or they were in remission and it came back after grieving a loss. So all of this is connected. And one of the most important things we can do besides raise awareness is to drop the stigma and to talk about these things openly. If someone asks you how you are and you're not okay, you could say it. Let people support you. Oftentimes, especially with depression, people will pull back and push away the help that they need. We need to be able to say, I'm hurting, and let people help us. If you are struggling right now with severe symptoms of depression, anxiety, get treatment. One of the facts on the Mental Health America site was showing how few people actually receive help for their mental illness or the symptoms that they're going through. People are trying to white knuckle it. Like, maybe if I'm just mentally strong enough, I can overcome it. It doesn't work that way. There's help out there. So speaking to a therapist, going to a psychiatrist, going to a wonderful nonprofit. Mental Health America has a lot of resources, especially if you're in California. But there's so many resources out there. And there's people who've dedicated their entire lives to wanting to help people overcome mental health issues like depression, anxiety, psychosis, PTSD. Let them do their jobs and be fulfilled, and let yourself get that help. If you're struggling to get the help you need, be okay with seeing somebody else. I have not only done psychotherapy for 20 years, but I've also taught psychotherapists. I've taught grad students in social work. I used to work for a therapy organization where I'd come in once a week and help the therapists solve their most difficult cases. So it's a huge part of what I do and what I love, even though my focus is in helping people reverse autoimmune disease using supermarket foods and lifestyle. Emotional health and well-being is so key. I feel like I still also do that job just as much, if not more, is helping people achieve good mental health, happiness, access joy, access hope. So if you're struggling to get that kind of help and you don't like the therapist you see or the first therapist you see, keep shopping. Because guess what? Every person has a different personality. And maybe you don't like that person, or maybe their style doesn't work for you. And you keep going until you find that person where you feel seen and you feel heard and you feel better. Let yourself have that. So I hope that helps all of you feel more comfortable with the conversation, with getting help, and recognizing the profound impact that your moods and your mental health have on your physical health. You know, in my rapid recovery group, the first thing we teach in the first week after we, you know, they learn the nutrition protocol, but the first thing we focus on is their self-care and in finding self-care that truly works to move their moods. Why? Well, multiple reasons. Number one, if you're in a good mood, you don't obsess about your food so much. So people are on a really strict protocol to reverse their autoimmune diseases. We don't want them obsessing about the food. We want them doing things to help them feel better. So it helps with cravings, and but it also helps bring up moods. And if we can teach people how to have good moods, how to have hope, how to have positivity, and they're listening to me every day, I'm programming them into learning these different ways of thinking and speaking to themselves, and different ways of taking actions, and different ways of doing self-care that nourishes their spirit. They start to feel better immediately. Even while the nutrition's still working to repair their immune system and their body, the impact of the good mental health, the good endorphins, all of those biochemicals that are going through their body, that impact can make them feel better right away. And so we can reach a better quality of life, even in a body that still has arthritis and pain, by improving our mental health. And so that's why I've always focused so much on that. And I hope that that makes a difference for you too. All right. That's what I wanted to chat with you about today. So it is still Lupus Awareness Month. And remember, my free gift to you this month, my classes, my online classes are free this month. And those classes have helped people all over the world reverse their autoimmune diseases who have never met me. How do I know? Because they send me messages, or they post on their websites, and they share about it, or people come on and tell me, oh, my friend took your class and she doesn't have psoriasis anymore, and she told me to meet with you. These classes really work. And you can watch them for free right now. So if you want to have them forever and watch them whenever you want, you can still get them. $47. You have lifetime access, and you can watch them in separate, nice segments whenever you feel like it. If you want to just dive in and do it for free and never pay me a cent, I will be so happy. I'll be so happy that you're able to get your health back. That's the reason we do it. And that's the reason why I do these little pushes where I make them free to try to get you to do it. Right? Like, whoo, we got to do it now. Why do you have to do it now? Because your health relies on it, and other people rely on you, right? So, all right, make sure that you do that. All right, let me see. Oh, Kimberly, I'm so glad that you like my recipe book. Yeah, it is really good, right? Goodbye Lupus has been, my original book has been a bestseller since I published it in 2015. And now it is #2 in Lupus on Amazon instead of #1, because #1 is Goodbye Lupus, Hello Delicious, my recipe book. So I pushed myself out of the first spot. But the reactions people have been giving me every day when I go do my appointments is like, this changed everything. I cannot believe how much I like this. Oh, here's another person, right? Is it okay to do a double batch of the buttered popcorn from your recipe book? I love it. Yeah. You know, nobody ever wanted to eat raw cauliflower before that popcorn recipe, and now everybody loves it. So I'm so glad. If you're struggling with how do I get hypernourishment in if I don't like a smoothie, or if I want to break from smoothies, or I want to feel like I'm having normal food, Goodbye Lupus, Hello Delicious is on Amazon, and it's really amazing. And most of the recipes, if they're not from my kitchen, they're all from people who have healed using my protocol themselves. So none of them just came from a random chef that I paid to come up with recipes. All of them come from my kitchen or the kitchen of people who have healed on my protocol. So those are literally healing recipes, and they taste good. So I'm very, very happy that you're enjoying it. Let's see. All right. And just as an FYI again, if you see anyone commenting on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram giving you advice, just know that they're not working for me. Sometimes people come across very professional giving advice to other people during my lives, like they come on to my lives to then answer other people's questions. Just know that's just another interested listener who's also giving their own opinion, but none of that's coming directly from me. And often I don't see them until later on, when I'm just when the live is over. Sometimes I'll look through and see, what kind of questions were people asking that I didn't get to. Maybe it'll stimulate me to do another teaching segment. And sometimes I see people getting advice and thanking people for advice, and I'm like, no, that's the opposite. I would never do that. So just be aware of that. Just be aware of that, okay? So that you know that you're getting, if you're coming to get advice from me, that you're getting the advice from me. All right. Let's see. Let's start with YouTube and see what questions people have for me today. Okay, so Ava, hi Dr. G, I'm reading Goodbye Autoimmune Disease and I'm stuck on the forgiveness chapter. I feel extreme resistance. Please do explain what forgiveness really means and how it helps to heal the body. It feels like if I forgive, that all that will be left is me, and that is terrifying. And I will only have myself to blame for my trauma and mental health issues. All right. So what Ava's referring to is my book, Goodbye Autoimmune Disease, focuses on the mental health aspect of our health. So mental health and lifestyle. So there's chapters, and it comes from the coaching I've given in my rapid recovery group. So when I was creating that book, there's the key reason I started writing it was to give case studies in all different types of diseases, so people would know it's not just lupus and see what it can do for other diseases. But what poured out of me as I sat at my computer was all the things you need to do besides your diet to get well. And I went through my rapid recovery group and the videos I'd made for coaching other people, and I turned those into chapters because I thought that would be the missing piece. If you couldn't just read Goodbye Lupus and follow the nutrition and get better, then you're missing something. And that was the other piece of it. So if the mental health component is important to you, my book Goodbye Autoimmune Disease is really important read. My mom said that's her favorite of my books. She said she cried in that one. So that's what my mom said. She called me while she was reading it. Oh my God. So I'm really glad that people have gotten so much out. I was just at a conference recently where someone pulled me aside and said, that was the book that changed me. That was what I needed to change my diet and get myself well. So if that's something you like, Goodbye Autoimmune Disease, it's on Amazon. So one of the chapters is on forgiveness. And the reason is because when you hold on to anger and grudges, that directly can I say the word? Let's say it this way. It's directly toxic to your body, right? So high levels of anger also lead to anxiety, depression, and those negative moods, again, are going to feed back into your body. So if you really want to live a good life, mental health and physical health, we need to let go of the grudges. We need to let go of the past pain, because when you lack forgiveness, you are stuck in the past. You are stuck in a place and time where somebody did something to hurt you, or you did something to hurt you. Sometimes people working on forgiveness for themselves, but let's say it's somebody else. If you're working on forgiveness, that means the person is not currently hurting you, number one. People often confuse this when we're coaching them through the forgiveness work in the group. People often say, like, I keep trying to forgive my husband, but he keeps repeating that thing that I'm trying to forgive him for. And I go, whoa, forgiveness is for things that are already past. If it's happening right now, that's communication and boundaries, right? That you have to stop the behavior before you can forgive. So if it's something from the past, then you are preventing yourself from being in the present, in a place of hope, in a place of joy and peace of mind and good mental health. You're preventing that by keeping yourself stuck in this past pain. And so you do not forgive so that you could say that they did is fine, they didn't mean it, whatever. It's not letting them off the hook in terms of condoning what they did. Forgiveness is for you. So if someone punched me in the face really hard and they gave me a black eye, do I deserve to heal from that? Or should I suffer forever? Really, the person who did the punching should suffer, right? I deserve to heal, right? If somebody hurt you, you deserve to heal. You deserve peace of mind. And when you don't forgive, you stay stuck, hurt, but not because they're still punching you. The bruise is gone, but the suffering has remained. And so forgiveness is part of the healing process. And you do it to say that whatever you did, for whatever reason you did it, I'm not going to let it continue to hurt me now, because I deserve to heal and I deserve to be well. All right. So the reason you do it is for you. And if you go through Goodbye Autoimmune, I talk about the process to doing that, because it's not like right. There's a process of expressing the anger that you need to express, and then the process of really letting yourself experience what that forgiveness is. And it's very powerful. I've done that process with people who have overcome rape, abuse of many traumatic time, incest. I mean, people come to me with extreme traumas. I'm a trauma specialist. I've helped people through very, very difficult things. And the peace they experience when they forgive, it changes them. There's a lightness that happens. I'm allowed to heal. I'm allowed to be okay. I don't need to carry the hurt anymore. That's yours. You need to heal from whatever made you do those things, but I deserve to be okay. And so you need to do this. And the fact that you feel the resistance, I always say this in my rapid recovery group, that whatever assignment I'm giving that you're resisting is usually the one you need the most. If you're like, oh, that seems fun, probably don't need it. But if you're like, maybe tomorrow I'm going to go work on a different one, you probably need it. So I think that resistance is just like a flag that this is something I need to look at. And if you feel there's something that you need to be blamed for, then you also can work on forgiving yourself. Forgiveness doesn't mean that you're responsible for the traumas you've experienced. It just means you're allowed to move on, and you're allowed to be free, and you're allowed to be healthy, and you're allowed to be happy. So forgiveness doesn't mean that you turn that anger on yourself. It means you release it and say, whatever's happened to me, I'm allowed to keep going. With self-forgiveness, there's two ways I work on that. One is I'd work on, can you see yourself as someone who's a human like all the rest of us, who did their best and it wasn't enough, and now you'll do better. That's the best thing, is to just stop assuming that you should live at a higher standard than everyone else. None of us are born with instruction manuals. We're all doing the best we freaking can on a daily basis. And sometimes our best is amazing. And sometimes our best is, wish nobody saw that. And that's just part of being a human, okay? The other part would be what I call time served. Can you give yourself permission to keep living and have another chance at life, right? So time served would be like, when somebody goes to court and they've been in jail waiting for the court date, and the judge is like, all right, I give you 6 months in jail, but time served, meaning the time you already served counts. If you're suffering, if you're sick, maybe even punished enough, and maybe you're still allowed another try. So that's a skim off the top of the deeper work that needs to happen. But forgiveness is essential for health, yes. And you deserve it. Ava, you deserve it. All right. I spent more time on that because it is Mental Health Awareness Month. It's such an important one. All right, let's see here. Raw Footage says, all right, compliments, thank you. Doing great with smoothies, eating cruciferous meals, but craving and consuming bowls of steamed Brussels sprouts. Can this hinder the ultimate reversal of lupus? Kidneys are still great. Well, if you're trying to do the full Goodbye Autoimmune Disease protocol, then yes, it'll hinder you because it is a cooked food. And your name is Raw Footage on YouTube. Like, it's got to step up. You can eat raw Brussels sprouts too, by the way. So some people can get away with eating a little bit of cooked food and still get the full results, and that's wonderful. But if you want to definitely do it 100%, so there's no maybes, then you do it raw. But if you're doing great with a little bit of steamed Brussels sprouts, then keep doing great. All right. Jill, are canned artichokes and hearts of palm in your Goodbye Lupus protocol? No, I just use fresh food for that one. All right, let's see what Facebook's asking. All right, Serene wants to know, hi, Dr. Goldner, what can I do to feel satiated at the end of the day? I currently am on Goodbye Autoimmune Protocol week 4, but I feel no matter how much veggies I eat, I need more complex carbs like oats or even nuts. What do you suggest? Okay, well, satiety is a multi-level thing, all right? Number one is if you're actually eating oats or nuts at the end of the day, you're not on the Goodbye Autoimmune Protocol. So you're on day 0, just so you know. If you had oats or nuts yesterday, you're back to day 1 or day 0, depending on what you ate today. But if you're having cravings, all right, so we'll go through the list of what causes cravings. Number 1 is you're not eating enough. So sometimes people will go, oh, well, I already finished my smoothie, but I'm still hungry. Well, then have more smoothie, or have a salad, or have any of the recipes from Hello Delicious, or have some broccoli dip in guacamole. You're just still hungry. Now, hunger is different from satiety. Satiety has multiple factors. Number 1, there's the emotional satiety. So if you're looking for an emotional hit of some dopamine, well, yeah, you're not going to get that from healthy foods, not at the level that you'll get it from nuts, for example, or certain types of cooked foods, which people have addiction to. So if you, so some of that's an emotional high. That means that if you are completely full, but you're having a craving, then just go do something fun instead of going to the kitchen to eat something fun. Go for a walk, go for a jog, even better. Go turn on a YouTube video and get in some high intensity interval training. Go call a friend who makes you laugh. Go and make self-care time at whatever cravings o'clock is. A lot of times people get cravings right when work is done and their brain can wander on ways to entertain itself, right? So if you know you get cravings around, I don't know, 7, plan your hot, beautiful bath for 6:30 or so when you're like, Epsom salts, essential oils, my favorite book, gorgeous music, right? So plan your self-care for that time if it's always at a certain time. So again, this is emotional satiety, meaning I am full. My belly is distended, but I'm craving something else. The other type of satiety is actually a chemical satiety where you're not eating enough fats in that meal. So CCK, cholecystectokinase kinase, is known as our satiety signal. So satiety means like you feel fulfilled by your meal. So if you don't eat enough fats with your meal, you won't trigger CCK, and CCK is what tells your brain, I'm satisfied. So if that's the case, then it might just look at adding more fat to your meal, like adding avocado, having chia pudding as your snack instead of your oats, and see if that then creates a signal. And if you combine all of those things and give yourself at least a month off from all those other foods so that your addiction cycle will let up, you'll find that those cravings go away. All right, let's see. All right, let me see here. All right, so Kate, let's see, there's a whole lot here. Kate, you can just see like my nose, says, hi, Dr. G, thanks for all the invaluable information you gave us. You're a huge factor in my life without you even knowing me. So as you saw, we're now hiking national parks with ease. Yay. But unfortunately, despite all these wins, dialing in nutrition, incorporating new exercise, I'm having one symptom that's lingering and won't go away from the arteritis. Any advice? So when you have something like this, and I'm sharing it so you could see the list of things that are better, that if you have had amazing wins where you're able to hike, you're able to have this amazing life, and you have one remaining symptom, could just mean you need more time, right? So if you know your self-care is at a 10, which you're hiking national parks, and your nutrition is dialed in, then it might just be giving it time to let it continue to work. We don't choose the order in which things get better, but we can observe that things are getting better. So you're living your best life and have one lingering symptom. First of all, I want you to celebrate like crazy because that's wonderful. Like having one symptom instead of a ton of symptoms, so great. And it's not keeping you from your hiking, right? So it might just mean you need more time. Or you might want to, turn up the dial a little bit, maybe add more omega-3s, maximize your water, maximize your food intake if you want to see if you can go any faster. But that's what I'd be looking at. And then because I wouldn't say that there's any sensitivity that I'd be looking for, because if you had a sensitivity, you wouldn't have all the other things get better. So perhaps just give yourself some more time and celebrate like wildly about all the things that are going better for you. Okay. All right. So AJ, all right, this is too big. My wife has iron deficiency anemia due to chronic inflammation caused by ankylosing spondylitis. She takes an iron supplement every morning with 8 ounces of orange juice to increase absorption. Is it more important not to get too much fruit on Goodbye Lupus protocol, or better to increase iron absorption with orange juice? She's already getting maximum fruit from smoothie and chia pudding. I have not seen people have to increase, have to add orange juice to get their absorption in. You're going to get your absorption anyway. So I don't see the reason why you would need to do like a processed juice. So I'm wondering if the thought that she's having is that, that she's wondering if maybe like the vitamin C is going to make a difference. And so because of commercials, she's like, well, on commercials, oranges and orange juice have the most vitamin C. And so therefore I have to do orange juice. I'm guessing that's the thing. You don't have to do that. You get tons of vitamin C actually in the cruciferous vegetables. So she enjoys her iron with her smoothies and fruits and everything she's eating. She's going to get the benefits of both. You can increase the iron and get rid of the disease. But the orange juice, definitely no. Definitely no. All right. All right. Well, this is great news right here. So Fran's saying my lab creatinine was low at 0.54. versus 0.61 before. GFR is 98 and BUN is 9. 100% SOS whole food plant-based since 2019. Thank you for what you share. So that's great. Great kidney function. All right, let's see. Going over here. I'm so happy it worked in Smoothie Shred today. I just would not give up until I helped it work. So that said, we'll see what happens next week. Let's see here. All right. Ryan Edmondson says, hi, Brooke. I'm on week 3 of Goodbye Lupus protocol, and my dry mouth has already subsided from Sjogren's. That's awesome. So all of you with Sjogren's, take heed on how awesome that is. However, I've been having cold feet and hands lately. Any ideas what I can be doing differently? My guess would be perhaps you are running the air conditioner more. So sometimes that's really the case, right? Is that the air conditioner goes on and you're in shorts and a t-shirt now because the weather's warm, and then you get cold. So I'd be looking at reasons like that. The nutrition is not going to cause your feet to get cold. Now, some people do feel more cold in their body when they have cold foods or cold drinks. So if you're drinking a smoothie and then that's when it happens, maybe put some gloves on or warm yourself up or have some hot tea with it or something like that. But congratulations on those results already. All right, let's see what Instagram is saying here. Hey, Instagram. All right, let's see. Hi from Minnesota. Hi, Erica Cooking. Hi, Diana Bananas. Hey, Afro Curry Tresses. See. Oh, hi, Dr. Clapper. It's good to see you, my friend. Let's see what people are asking about today. So Charlotte wants to know, hi, Dr. G, on the Goodbye Autoimmune protocol, how much flaxseed crackers can you have in a day? As many as you want. So as long as you're getting in the nutrition you need, flax crackers are a nice way to get some satiety. You can buy them. There's a brand called Flackers, but it's kind of expensive. It's, you know, for $5 you get a little bag. Versus if you make them, I have a recipe in Hello Delicious. You can make huge amount of them, and if you buy them by the scooper full at a Sprouts, it's like $1.29 a pound. But yeah, you're just getting some bonus omega-3. I don't count it towards the omega-3 totals because omega-3s do oxidize when they're exposed to air or heat. And so who knows how much concentration of O3 is left, but there's some bonus O3 coming in there. So yeah, if you like them and you're getting your nutrition in, there's no reason you can't have as many as you want. Might make you a little bloated, but that just depends on the person. So no problem there. All right. Janine wants to know, hi, Dr. G, am I able to reserve an appointment and cancel before a certain date to receive a refund? You're booked until October. I don't know how I'll be doing by that point. So you have some options, Janine. So for one-on-one appointments, I know I'm booked out into October, and I'm pretty sure it's the end of October right now. So I apologize for that. I'm doing the best I can. There are options for a rush add-on. There's a rush fee, in which case I'll stay extra late and get in an extra appointment. And that usually ends up at about 12 weeks. So folks who need to be sooner usually end up doing that option. The rapid recovery group starts August 22nd. So that's one of the soonest ways to actually work with us. But to answer your question, if you book an appointment and cancel, yeah, I have no problem refunding it, just minus whatever the credit card processing fee was, so that I'm not paying for for you changing your mind. So those usually are like 2.5%, 3%, something like that. So usually it's 3%. That's it. So yeah, you could totally do that if you wanted to. I've also had people where they booked an appointment, and my favorite is I've had some people who booked an appointment, recovered in the meantime using my free resources, and then came to see me anyway to talk about step down and health maintenance. And that's really fun. Or people who've even gifted their appointment where they're like, I'm already better from your free stuff, but my husband's going to come instead, or my neighbor or something like that. But yes, I have no problem refunding it back if you can't use it or don't need it anymore, just with the processing fee covered. That's it. So, all right, let's see here. Diana Zurigat, I have lupus. How can I get my hair back? So getting yourself healthy is going to be number one. So if you've lost your hair with lupus itself can cause hair loss. Also, the medications can do that too. I was on Cytoxan chemotherapy and my hair was clogging up the drain every day. Some people have that reaction to steroids. Some people have that reaction to things like methotrexate. So getting yourself healthy from lupus will minimize those medications and minimize that symptom. And then hair growth should come back. Hypernourishment is really effective that way. In my group, that's really cool thing people see is, oh my God, my nails, my hair, everything's growing. Because understand, when your body's under stress, it will direct nutrition away from the areas that are less vital for life, right? So an example would be when you are out freezing in the snow. Notice that people get frostbite in their nose, their ears, and their fingers. Why? Because the blood goes in to keep the organs healthy, right? Because this will keep you alive. You can live without the nose and the tips of your ears, not happily, maybe, but still your body's function is to preserve, right? Well, the same is true when you are inflamed or sick, that the nutrition will be trying to funnel into saving you and helping you. And so you will see the result of that in the areas of your body where there's rapid cell growth, for example. So you'll see changes in skin often, and then in hair and in nails. So notice when you're sick, a lot of times your nails look terrible. They don't grow. Hair is thin or dry or falling out. When people are doing hypernourishment with me, they're overdosing in nutrition. You'll see the overflow of nutrition is so much that it ends up going into the areas of the body where you will see it the most, right? So for people to come to me with lupus, for example, in my group, and they're like, oh yeah, my aches and pains are gone, but my nails are so long and my hair, I'm getting fuzzies everywhere. So getting yourself healthy, that's going to be the biggest goal. Be careful of the supplements, because some of those supplements have way too many ingredients. There's a very popular supplement out there that has so many ingredients in it, and some of them concern me, because when you take huge amounts of supplements, you can interfere with other areas of the body. So if people are taking something that's super high in zinc, but they don't realize that that could block copper absorption. Sometimes they don't realize that there's animal products in there, fish oil, other things. So just be careful about that. Okay. And EKY8920 says, is there a relationship between microbiota and autoimmune disease? If so, recommendations, please. Yeah, absolutely. I was just looking at a bunch of studies today, and just specifically about omega-3. It's been really fun because we've been teaching this for many, many years. My husband gave a grand rounds for the primary care doctors, the family medicine doctors at UCLA Harbor back in, I think, 2006 or 2007, teaching them about the omega-3 pathway. So we've been teaching this for an extremely long time and how it can impact health. Well, now there's more and more studies that are backing up the things that we were saying, and they're really, really fascinating. And some of them are just adding more to it. And one of them was showing about how omega-3 specifically encourages diversification of the microbiome in the gut. And so that when you are low in omega-3, that it disrupts the microbiome, and people will have more limited types of bacteria and less healthy ones. But adding omega-3 caused a huge diversification of a healthy microbiome in the gut. So there's a lot of discussion going on, again, chicken or egg, where they're noticing that people with chronic diseases across the board, autoimmune, cancer, diabetes, heart disease, that they have what they call a leaky gut. The gut is not working properly. The microbiome is not what it should be. And so then some folks immediately go into cause and effect. I've been around long enough to know that just because there's a correlation doesn't mean there's a causation, meaning some two things could be happening and it doesn't mean one causes the other. Sometimes they're both being caused by the same thing, right? So some are saying the gut is the reason for the autoimmune, but maybe the gut and the autoimmune are both being caused by the diet, right? So what I found is when people do my full protocol, all of it gets better. So my Goodbye Autoimmune protocol works for lupus, but it also works for Crohn's and ulcerative colitis. So when we're looking at healing the gut, all the different components of my protocol work for those things. Now, sometimes when people have an inflamed gut, I can't go into full protocol right away because their gut is too weak or disrupted or painful to be able to handle the nutrition. But the goal is to always get them to the point where they can have it. I've seen so many people where their doctor said, oh, because of your gut pain, you should be on a low FODMAP diet, which is like low fiber meals. And then what happens? It's weaker. That's like someone telling me, when I try to walk more than a few feet, my legs hurt. So I go, oh, just stop walking. Guess what's going to happen after a few weeks or months of not walking? You can't move at all. So we need to keep up the musculature and strength of the gut, because that is a muscular system around your intestines, and work on healing the issue while also getting you nourished so you can heal what's causing it. So it is all connected, but I'm not willing to put my hat down on cause and effect because people don't really know that. And whenever people make assumptions that they know what's going on, that's when they're wrong. So we do know that these things are all connected, and they're connected in so many different ways. There is so much amazing research that's been done looking specifically at the bacteria that we have in our gut and how it affects our whole body. So one that this study should have so much more attention to it. And I do not know why it didn't change everything for heart disease, everything. Okay. So what they found is that there is basically a marker chemical, okay, called TMAO. And TMAO is what tells your body to put cholesterol inside the artery-informed plaques, right? So that's an important thing. What they found is TMAO is released by bacteria in the gut. So your body's not telling you to put the plaques in the arteries. Your bacteria in your gut are causing that. Whoa. Now, what the study found is that they did this study. It was very interesting. They took vegans, so people who have not eaten meat for at least a year or more, and people who are regular meat eaters, and they gave them meat to eat. Okay. I don't know how they got the vegans to do it. They did it for science. Okay. They gave them meat to eat, and then they looked at TMAO release. And what they found was the vegans did not release TMAO. Only the meat eaters did. That is because when you eat meat, you encourage the growth of these bacteria that release TMAO. So when you eat meat on a regular basis, you grow these bacteria that release TMAO, and TMAO is telling you to put plaques in your arteries, and that leads to a heart attack, which is the #1 killer of people in America, the #1 killer. And when you stop eating meat, at least for a year, because they use vegans that were vegan for at least a year, those bacteria, they're not being fed. And so they die off because they're like, no food at this party. They're not interested in kale. They're out. And once you don't have those bacteria anymore, you don't release TMAO even when you eat meat. Now, they ate meat for the experiment, and those bacteria are not there, so they didn't release TMAO. If they started eating it again, those bacteria would, what? They wake up and they start growing, and then they start releasing TMAO as well. Groundbreaking, right? Shocking. It wasn't on the news. I know, I read this article. I was amazed. I was excited. This is the end of meat, because meat is the #1 killer of Americans because it's causing heart attacks. Crickets. And even the scientist who studied it said in his conclusion that they would have to look on new medications that could target TMAO and stop it from causing the plaques, rather than we should just stop eating meat and heart attacks will go away. So the gut is really, really interesting, really important. As we know, it's connected to our mood neurotransmitters. It is responsible for whether or not we have heart attacks. Our gut is so, so essential. And just for our quality of life, nobody looks happier than someone that just had a good bowel movement, right? I mean, that's like a highlight of the day if you can have one of those, right? So it's really important that we have good gut health. And the good news is you don't have to do something extra to create that. When you're eating in the right way, the gut bacteria will come around, the leaky gut goes away, and health goes through the roof. So it is really, really important issue. And I like that you brought it up. Very, very interesting in so many different areas. Okay. Tia Maria KC wants to know what I think of amla. I haven't tested it. So I only speak to things I have results with. And I have not tested amla, so I can't tell you if it works better than turmeric. And turmeric can help with symptoms. It's an anti-inflammatory, but it doesn't remove the cause. When they used turmeric, for example, in rheumatoid arthritis, they found people could drop their medication dosage for pain. And then when they switched them to a placebo, they went back up to using the same medication for pain. So, but I do not know much about how amla would do. Okay. Eric 102519, Dr. Brooke, could your nutrition protocol help my fiance Lisette, who has lupus, APS, thrombotic microangiopathy, kidney failure, and a mechanical valve from a recent heart surgery? Thank you. Congratulations on your upcoming wedding. And yes, my protocol would be perfect for Lisette. With kidney failure, it'd be better for her to work with me so I could figure out the right nutrition for her. When you're just doing the protocol, the Goodbye Lupus protocol as is, that's fine for people who don't have restrictions on their diet. But if you have these conditions, so kidney failure, I'm going to have to look at your labs and see how much nutrition can your kidney handle. And I'll change the dosage of the food to go with the kidney function. If she has APS, she might be on Coumadin or warfarin, which means that you're going to also have to have somebody who's adjusting your medication dosage to go with the high dosage of the cruciferous vegetables that you're eating. So when it's more complicated like that, then in this situation, working with us is a great idea. My rapid recovery group would be really ideal because then I could work with her daily. So, all right. And let's see. All right. And Kriti Watika, you messaged me on IG on rapid recovery. If you could do me a huge favor and send me an email, drg@goodbyelupus.com, I'll write it down. I'm so sorry that I can't keep up with social media messages and everything, but I'm going to write it down. Excuse me a moment, folks, while I see if I can find it. Usually if you message me on social media, you get my Linktree response because most of the questions are, how do I work with you, right? So if you go to, so Katika, if you go to, you're on Instagram, if you click on the link in my profile, there's a Linktree, and the Linktree has everything in it. So let me show it to you really quickly. All right, I'm going to show you how to get there. All right, let me see. You can tell I'm enjoying that I've learned how to share from this. Let's see if this is, no, not this one, that one. Here we go. So I'm going to show you. As soon as you get done here, this is my Instagram page. You see how there's a Linktree? Go to Linktree and boom, here we go. See my free classes, 6-week group. And then here's how to work with me. So if you click on that, work with Dr. G, bam. So 6-week group, 4-week one-on-one, and then you could click that and continue. And so it's all there. So let me see, sorry. So when you click on it, you'll see this screen, and that has my rapid recovery program there. So yeah, so you can do that. Or if you are on Facebook or YouTube with the video that you're watching right now, there's a link, resources for you. When you click on the resources for you, one of them would be ways to work with me, and you could check that. But if you have more questions, let me know. All right, let's see here. See what Smoothie Shred's saying. All right. So Sway Buckley says, hey, Dr. Goldner, after a year doing Goodbye Autoimmune protocol, I finally got a negative reading for my ANA. Yay. So congratulations, everybody. Say congratulations to Sway. It was lab. My regular lab one last positive reading was 1 to 320, but the others are negative. So if it's negative, it's negative. Like there is a difference from different labs that can show up with, you know, the maybe slight variations in quantity of antibodies. But with ANA, for it to show up as positive on a lab, usually it has to be 140 or higher. That doesn't mean it's clinically positive. 140, 180, 1 to 160, all considered borderline. If people are just in that range, I'm already celebrating. But for it to say negative, it means it was less than 1 to 40, which is much, much lower than 1 to 320. So I would say that that was a negative reading, that you could trust that. That's pretty cool. Stacy says, I've heard that some raw vegans will lose their periods, especially as fruitarians, and they say it's because they're so their body is so clean, they no longer have anything to detox, but they know they're ovulating every month. Is that normal? That sounds like some made up stuff if I've ever heard it. You're not, having your period is not detoxing. Having your period is how your body prepares for pregnancy. So over the course of the month, your uterus, if you are someone who's ovulating and still in fertile years, your uterus will create a lining that is supposed to be the cushion for an implanted embryo to grow in a nice cushy uterus, right? If by the end of that month or that cycle, there was no implantation, then the body eliminates that lining and gets rid of it. And that's your menstrual cycle. That way you can start again. And so every potential pregnancy starts with a nice fresh lining, fresh home. That has nothing to do with detoxing. And it's a load of hooey. So no, no, that does not make any sense to me. How do they know they're ovulating? I don't, yeah, that's new stuff. But no, that anyone who's calling it detoxing, they've already lost me. All right, let's see what the time is. We got a little bit more in here. All right. Sandy, congratulations. First timer vegan as of yesterday. Thanks to a dear friend. Trying to heal 3 autoimmune disorders. Yay me. Yay you, Sandy. I'm so glad that you're here. I hope you stay excited. Realize that over the course of the first month, you're going to have cravings and withdrawal. You might be grumpy. It'll be worth it. And it'll get better. A lot of times people think like how they feel the second week, they're going to keep feeling just, oh, I can't stop thinking about chicken. No, it'll be fine. And when you get to the other side, not only do you stop craving it, but one day it'll repulse you. That's where I've gotten to now, where the things that used to look good to me, nope. But in the first few weeks, people deal with a lot of cravings. So focus on your excitement of what you want to do. Watch my free classes at goodbyelupus.com. And come on again on Wednesday so we can celebrate your wins with you. That'll be fun. Hi, Healthy Done My Way. Let's see. Jen H. Let's see. Oh, I read your book and started smoothies daily a little over a year ago. I'm healthy at an optimal weight. I just needed a little kick in my step. Thank you. You're welcome. Congratulations, Jen. Oh, it's always great to add hypernourishment to your life. Hi, Kenya. Hi, Bevan. Let's see. Birdie, is there any research that guided your plan for healing, specifically the benefits of omega-3 for good health? Yes. So when my husband came up with the original nutrition protocol, his obsession was with metabolism, specifically for fat loss and muscle building. So he was absolutely obsessed with the idea that there's an optimal diet for humans, which every other species seems to have. So that makes sense. But when he switched from computer science, where there was always a right answer and a best answer, into exercise science, nutritional science, suddenly there was vagary. And his professors are saying they don't really know high fat, low fat, high carb. There was arguments for all these things. And as someone who was a computer scientist, that drove him crazy. There must be an optimal solution, or as he calls it, an elegant solution. For him, it's actually elegant and beautiful when you get to the best solution. And so he began to obsess about that and started diving into how different types of nutrition affect cellular metabolism. And what he was looking for is a fast metabolism that could build muscle quickly and burn fat quickly. And omega-3s were a big part of what he discovered was important for cellular communication and cellular metabolism. So that all went into his creation of his original protocol for metabolism. And he has his own best-selling book, Miracle Metabolism. He is absolutely brilliant. But that's where the original protocol came from. Then when I did it, and then my lupus went away, right? Then at first, we didn't even realize that was the reason, because I was a new doctor and nutrition had nothing to do with lupus, or I would know it, right? So I don't know why. We'll just call it a remission and just leave it there. But after 4 years of remission and then being able to have a healthy pregnancy and delivery, then we realized, you know what, this doesn't look like lupus anymore. And that's when we started to look at how are these ingredients that we know positively affect metabolism, how could they possibly also be affecting cellular health, organ health, and immune function and autoimmunity? And that's when we started to understand the way these same nutrients were affecting me, and created the first version of the Goodbye Lupus protocol, tested it on people for free. Like, we recruited volunteers from the Lupus Foundation. And only when we could come up with consistent results where it worked, that's when I published Goodbye Lupus, knowing that I was giving it to the world, because I wanted people to have a protocol they could use, they could get well, that they could get access to easily. And I wanted it to be something that people could share. So we only wanted to share it, though, when we were sure that everything we were teaching was reproducible, and I wasn't just some like blessing or mutant or freak where the lupus went away. But it was actually reproducible. So yes, that's where it all came from. Nicole's so sweet. She comes on every week to share this, and every week you make me smile. You're welcome for saving your life. So happy every time I see this. And Alicia just asked, is it possible to reverse Sjogren's disease? But then you heard the celebration from Ryan saying that he's already seen relief in his dryness. So yes, absolutely. And yes, MJ, also leaky gut. I just talked about that a bit. Okay. Mary says, have you seen psoriasis get worse before getting better? I'm on week 7 of Goodbye Autoimmune, and everything has gotten better except my psoriasis, which has gotten worse. I'd be looking at things that could be irritating your psoriasis. So I've worked with a lot of folks with psoriasis and helped them reverse it. And that condition, that skin could be reacting to so many different things. Sometimes it's simply a food sensitivity where it's not a strong enough sensitivity that's affecting your ability to recover everywhere else, but your skin's reacting to it. So you might try testing it. There are some cases where people can react to different types of sodium. Read a very interesting study about that, where not all, but very few people, they'll find sodium in their rash. And so people have that condition. I usually work with them on that to see if there's an optimal salt, or if they can't, then we have to really cut the water down. I try to use that as a last resort. One, because it's a very rare complication, and two, because lowering the water can lower the effectiveness of the other areas. But there's a lot of different things that can affect psoriasis. I've had folks who are literally just moving to climates. Guy was like, everything was better except his rash, and he was in the desert, and then he moved somewhere humid, and then the rash just went away, and it was like there was an irritation from the climate. I've seen irritation from bedding, from soaps, things like that. So psoriasis can be tricky that way, and I've worked with so many people with it now. Usually I can pin it down if I talk to you and get the story and figure out the things that we can try, but maybe that will solve it if you start investigating those areas. Oh my goodness. So, so many different questions. I hope that the content today has really helped you. It's really important to me to not only help you with understanding how nutrition affects cellular repair. Free classes, goodbyelupus.com, learn it, but also your mental health. Your mental health has more about your ability, has more impact on your ability to enjoy your life than any symptom does physically. So make sure you're also bringing awareness to that, since it is also Mental Health Awareness Month in addition to Lupus Awareness Month. And hopefully what I taught you today is making a difference for you. I hope all of you have a great rest of your week. Remember, there's a link in this video that has tons of resources from me. I have a lot of free resources, low-cost resources, articles, all sorts of things to help you on your way to better health. Hope you have a great rest of your week. It's great to see you all here today.